You can see behind me beautiful Cole Harbor in Vancouver, BC. And here we have where a lot of people station their boats and rarely use them because learning to drive a boat, sail a boat takes focus and discipline. And it's challenging when you have a busy life, but a lot of people enjoy them for status symbols. Vancouver is a gorgeous place, but it's definitely one huge status symbol, I've noticed. See, you can see these buildings behind me. Here we go. So many of them are a quarter to half, sometimes even more empty, because we have foreign investors, and a lot of people also launder their money by buying property here in Vancouver and other Canadian cities. So, all around us, we see displays of corruption, how capitalism and neo-capitalism have gotten really out of control, and people's greed and people's egos have definitely caused them to take advantage of a lot of other people. And so we have huge wealth disparities here in British Columbia. This is the province in which I live. So here in this neighborhood, which is quite beautiful, quite tranquil, people are walking on the seawall here, as you can see. But just a few blocks away, we have what's called the downtown east side, and that's a hub, a neighborhood, a few blocks, a hub for drug use and drug dealing, low income. A lot of people swarm there. A lot of people that have grown up in the government systems, like either in care homes or foster homes. So we have a lot of people who station themselves just a few blocks away. And here we have this emblem of wealth that hardly anybody lives in, because again, we have the foreign buyers that have come and bought up so many of these apartments here that overlook the beauty. See here, Stanley Park, gorgeous Stanley Park in the background, and we have the mountains there of North Vancouver, Mount Seymour. Beautiful, beautiful place to live, but hardly anyone can afford it. So, but what I wanted to talk about a little bit today is that greed, is that level of desire that happens when our egos get very, very, very sick. They get just inflamed, and our egos reach a point of, such greed that humans basically cut themselves off from their brothers and sisters and try to live in a bubble where they don't see the homelessness that's just increasing here. Vancouver, I've been here for 9 years, and the amount of people I've seen on the streets has increased in that time more than double. And it's very challenging to see people my own age on the streets, because I know how close I was to that. A lot of us who are on this path of trying to heal and awaken our soul and elevate our consciousness, we go through some pretty amazing challenges. But what those challenges do is it helps to collapse the ego. So I remember in my times as a heroin addict here in Vancouver, I felt so low about myself, so much shame, so much guilt, that I wanted to ditch my identity. You understand? So when I started to learn about ego and what it is and how it harms us, I was like, yes, I can't wait to get rid of my ego, because my ego wasn't pleasing to me. But you have people who build themselves up and get wealthy, and their success in their communities. I'm talking more materialistically. They buy a bunch of properties and boats that sit on the water. It's all to feed the ego, and they get a lot of support from society. Everybody's trying to be just like that, right? A rich person, a famous person. So we are actually looking at inflated egoism in this city a lot, and we have this beautiful backdrop of the nature here, and so it is a really wonderful place for a lot of spirituality to take place, and a lot of spiritual people are here. I know that Eckhart Tolle has a home here and his base is here. He wrote his Power of Now book here in Vancouver. That gives me a lot of hope. I know that I'm surrounded by a lot of people who are awakening, and we're using the natural setting of this gorgeous place to further heal. But in terms of Jeffrey Epstein, this has been coming up a lot, you know, because we have a lot of rich billionaires here in Vancouver, and we have a lot of men who, you know, use that money to get women, to get young women. Vancouver is a hub for trafficking as well. We have a lot of trafficked young people here that are owned by pimps, and it's something that I think that we all need to be aware of. But we have Jeffrey Epstein, who became addicted to receiving, you know, sexual gratification from young women. Not even the sexual gratification. He became addicted to the discomfort, the slime, you know, to make someone feel uncomfortable. That's a play of energy. And you know, I'm talking about the people that touch you too much and you're making very obvious body resistance, right? Your body is showing that you don't want to be touched, but they're still doing it. It's because they enjoy to creep us out. And Jeffrey Epstein was like this. He was like a master creep, and he wanted to creep people out. And that's what his sort of the demons he was dealing with. And so he used his money to buy people's silence, to buy people's bodies and times, you know, and money has become so important to people, especially as we lose it more and more. I'm just moving here because there's now lots of sound. So Jeffrey Epstein was allowed to continue all of this because he had a support system of other millionaires and billionaires who enjoyed the lifestyle. You know, you can imagine it, like the ego wants what it wants, but it's never satiated. It's never full. It always wants more. It always wants more deviant things until you're destroyed. But on the positive flip side of this, Jeffrey Epstein, everything he's been doing is really helping to awaken people. So we're having these sort of waves of awakenings. And I know that 9/11, when that happened and when people started to question the truth, the ridiculous truth of the 9/11 documents, there was a wave of awakening, right? And there were the original people, the researchers back in the 70s, 80s, you know, David Icke, and we have Jordan Maxwell and a few others. But now we're having a new wave of awakening going on, because when people see the Epstein and they see how did he have all of this ability to travel the world with frail, fragile looking, drugged up young women, young girls, you know, who often didn't even know what they were doing there. This is just a crazy thing. How was he able to do that and keep company with presidents and princes and all these people who like to pretend that they're holy when they're not? Well, now that this is coming out, a new wave of awakening is happening. And I'm so happy. I couldn't be more thrilled, because on my own journey of healing myself and waking up to this matrix around us and empowering myself, I had to learn about the child sex trafficking and the rampant amount of it that happens on the planet in every city. I had to learn about it all. I had to stomach it, and I became nauseous so many times when I learned about things, when things were presented to the audience. Basically, there's a lot of TV shows that joke about this. Like, I just saw this thing on Will Ferrell where he was pretending to be a man who was selling clown babies, his own children, basically. And he had them dressed up as clowns, and he was joking about keeping them in cages. And I'm like watching this like, what? How is this not upsetting to people? But it is upsetting to people. People are starting to get really upset, and they're starting to see that those at the top have been completely lying to us. I think everybody kind of knew that, but now what's happening is the more that we see, the more we lose faith in this system, the more we understand that the people who've been ruling over us, that we've allowed to do this, are perverts and pedophiles, and their egos are incredibly sick to the point where they could be classified as insane, especially those who want to go to war. Anyone wanting to go to war is freaking insane in my mind. But, you know, what we've allowed, we've voted people in who are sick, drug trafficking, like I'm talking about the Clintons here. You know, there's so much evidence now. It's so easy to see what's out there and what's been going on. Very easy to connect the dots. There's a lot of fake news, I understand that, but when you start to clear yourself more and you start to realize that your heart, your intuition will tell you what's what. Really, it does. And then the more that people see, hey, we can't keep putting our lives into the hands of the creepiest people who've ever existed, you know? So I'm happy that all this is being exposed. I'm not happy that it's happened. I'm very saddened, and I can feel and empathize with the victims, but I'm so happy that it's out there and more is being exposed every day. Bring on the light. I'm thrilled that people are waking up, even if it hurts to know the truth. I'm still thrilled. So I hope that you guys have a beautiful November 13th. We had a radical 11/11 portal. I feel like a new person. I feel like a butterfly who's just been breaking out of this very thick cocoon. I'm very happy. All this work I've been doing to heal myself, I can finally physically feel the benefits. So I'm just sending out tons of prayers for more exposure, for all of it to come down, for everything to break down and dissolve just as it's meant to do, so that we can have our human awakening. Yay! Have a great day. Love you all.